Well, here we go on the first 12 earthly branches study group meeting. We're going to be looking at the third earthly branch, Yin, which is this aspect down here with the lung in the beginning of spring. But first of all, we're going to actually just start off with a brief look at actually what are the 12 earthly branches. And in the 81 essential charts, the information on that is on charts 7 to 10. And there's also the further information on the intro to stems and branches video. So yeah, it's useful for people to catch up on those. So when we're looking at the branches, if we translate it to standard Chinese medical terminology, you could say, they represent the 12 two-hour time periods of the day. The first earthly branch is Z, Gall Bladder in winter. So that's right down the bottom of the chart here, and runs from 11 p.m. That's Shaoyin, runs from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then we follow the meridian cycle through the branches: liver, lung, large intestine, stomach, spleen, heart, small intestine, urinary bladder, kidney, pericardium, and Sanjiao, which we can see evidenced within the 12 meridians. They also relate to the months. Now, the months here are transposed for the southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere dates for each month are on this column here. But we can see, so in southern hemisphere, June 7th to July 5th, northern hemisphere, December to January. So right in the middle of winter, you can say.
Yep.
Just go back. There's also the slides 8 to 10 describe the transitions of the months. We've also got the 5 seasons. So the color correspondence is here. We can see that winter is the Z Gall Bladder and the Sanjiao high branch, and also the transitional branch of Cho liver. So from 9 p.m. Through to 3 a.m. The branches representing winter. So the transition branches allow the shift of an energetic into the next one. So obviously winter is cold, nothing's showing on the surface, it's all hidden within inside, it's stillness and storage. And for the chi, or the energy of the transition from the night time into the spring, has to go through an earth branch. So where we got yin and mao for spring, we also include the earthly branch of Chen, stomach, in that wood element, and the same for summer. Si Wu Wei is summer, and then Shen Yu Shu, autumn. Also contains the 8 directions. Again, this is set up for the southern hemisphere. So if it was the northern hemisphere, obviously the coldest region is in the lower quadrant, and the warmest region is in the upper. So northern hemisphere, you're looking south to the warm and north to the cold. And then we have this sequential movement of the 8 directions, as in this column here. 8 directions can be transposed onto the Bagua, the 8 shapes. This one's King Wen's Bagua, which is called the post-heaven arrangement. And the trigram associations for each branch are listed through this sequence. So we can see down here in water or winter or gallbladder and Zer branch, we've got the water trigram. It moves into the mountain trigram for the liver and lung branches. So up here to the east, and the Jun Thunder let's stay with the southern hemisphere, so we're going to the northeast here for the wind trigram, summer's fire. As we move into the west side of the circle, we get Kun Earth, which is represented by the branches Wei and Shun. So small intestine, urinary bladder. And then we come to the west, which is the Jueyin Lake. And then finally into the heaven, which encompasses pericardium and Sanjiao. And as we go through each branch, we'll study one of the hexagram that's related, or sorry, the trigram that's related to that particular branch. And then we'll also look at the 12 tidal hexagrams. If you've done nothing on trigrams and hexagrams, don't worry too much about it. It's all symbolic language. They all can be combined to describe the attributes and qualities of a branch and time of year, time of day, month, season, etc., etc. So what the tidal hexagrams describe.
I'm
Yep.
pretty familiar with the trigrams.
Yeah, great. Good. And have you seen the tidal hexagrams before?
I've seen them,
Yep.
but I haven't got that far in
Yeah.
my studies yet.
Yeah. So you know, if you've seen trigrams, you know that the solid line is a yang line, excuse me, and the broken lines are yin lines. So what the 12 titles represent is down here in Sanjiao, we have this hexagram, the second hexagram, Kun Earth, which is composed of 6 yin lines. So you could say this is the absolute storage of yang qi. So again, in winter, yang qi is hidden deep within the earth. And when it moves from Sanjiao to Gall Bladder, we see the insertion of this one yang line at the bottom. So this is the hexagram Fu, or turning back or return, which is the turning back of the yin and the starting of the rising of the yang qi. So in the gallbladder branch, the yang qi again is invisible; it's not seen. As it moves into the liver branch of Chou, we see the 2 yang lines emerging. So this is the impulse of nature for the seed to root downwards and to reach upwards. And most growth is not actually showing in the world at this time. And then when we come to the lung yin branch, the beginning of spring, we get this equilibrium of yang lines on the bottom and yin lines on the top. And this is the hexagram called advance or peace. It's a very balanced hexagram for people that do I Ching acupuncture or use hexagrams in their acupuncture practice. Because the nature of earth is to go downwards and the nature of heaven to move upwards. So these 2 trigrams in this hexagram configuration are very, very beneficial for each other because they come together. And then we move into the male branch, which is the year branch of 2023. The 3 branches of each season are called the birth branch is the first one. The exuberant branch is the second, and the storage branch is the third. Although they don't, in the stomach branch, for example, it's the storage of water. So wood is stored over here in the Wei branch, and we'll go through that more as we progress through the year, because there are there's a dip in energy that occurs. So the exuberant growth of spring, that activity, outward expansion, has to dip down a little bit in the stomach time, stomach month, stomach branch for the fire, the abundance of fire to be able to come into play. So and we notice that as the yang lines increase, we come to the spleen time, 9 to 11 a.m., where all the 6 yang lines are present. So this is the fulminant of the expression that started in the gallbladder. The growth or outward movement has reached its peak. And then when we come to the time of the heart, so 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., there's already a yin line beginning at the base. And then this slowly increases until we come back to Sanjiao with the 6 yin lines. So we've got expansion and growth towards abundance on the left side, which is basically the sun rising in the morning, moving from the east up to to the midday. And then from that moment onwards, we descend through the west. So this is the expansion and contraction from a cellular level right through to all forms of life and movement on this planet. So the tidal hexagrams are great for interpreting what the branches are doing at that particular time. We have, with each branch, there's what they call the Lu Qi, so the 6 Qi, or there's the 5 movements, which are the 5 yin-yang elements within the stems, and the 6 Qi are the 6 divisions or 6 conformation influences through the weather patterns that occur through the branches. So each year or each month, each hour and day, etc., will have an influence, for example, in the Gall Bladder of the Shaoyin. And these describing heat, Taiyin is damp, Shaoyang is fire, Yangming dryness, and Taiyang cold, and Jueyin wind. So the 6 Qi of heaven are explained through these branches, and we look at that as well as we go through. The 6 Qi of earth are the elements. So you've got fire, or fire is imperial or ministerial. And then we've got also the Taiyang earth, Yangming metal, Taiyang water, and Jueyin wood. And there's also a secondary influence. So we are in the Mao year at the moment. The branch of Mao is governing this year. So it's governed by Yangming metal. So that's an influence throughout the whole year. So there's a tendency for the first part of the year to be cool and dry. And then we move into Shaoyin heat in the latter 6 months of the year. So things really start to heat up. And we've also got the 12 animals related to the branches. So rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon. Should have changed the colours in these actually. So these colours are not in alignment with, they should be in alignment with the colours of the branch. So and then with the branches is all this runs through a 60-year cycle. So the branches, the odd number of branches, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, are yang, considered yang, and even numbers are yin, and they match with the yin-yang qualities of the stems as well. So we can see the earth number 1 is a yang or an active earth stem, and it combines with the yang branches. And same with the yin. Yin always going to combine with a yin branch, which means that we're in a yang year, it's usually an excess year, and a yin year is more of a deficiency or a passive year. And the year 2023 over here is under the 10th stem, which is Gui in fire, which also contains the meridian of the kidney and the element of the water. So if you've ever looked at Batsa or Batsi, what's called the 4 pillars, the year or the year stem is actually described through the elements. So they say this is a yin water year with a yin wood branch. In stems and branches philosophy, the yin stems or the passive stems will always have an active husband. So in the 5 element theory, the husband-wife relationship is the control cycle. So if we look at fire, I'll see if I can get an element thing up in a minute. But if we look at fire and we come back 2 elements, we'll arrive at water, which is the control element of fire. So when fire is passive, water is going to be active. So we're going to be looking at excess water patterns with insufficient fire to move circulation, you could say, in this year, coupled with quite a strong desire for reaching and fulfilling goals, movement, activity, as seen in the branch of wood. And that ends our introduction. Any comments or questions on that, John, before we move on?
Not so far.
Okay, good. All right. Well,
I think I'm pretty good so far.
awesome. Okay.